Search engine optimization, or SEO, has always been about users. And if you, as a business owner or a website owner, think about your user with everything you do, you will succeed. It's as simple as that. And I'll take you through some examples. Some of them are from our clients. The reason I need to show client work is because we are good at what we do, and we have proven that the techniques I'm going to be talking to you about today have worked. And they're not difficult, they're not complicated, they're not rocket science. So before we get started, sorry, just back to this slide. If any of you have read this book, or if you haven't read this book, What Would Google Do? It's by Jeff Jarvis, very good book. I'd recommend it highly. It basically looks at different scenarios of business and looks at how Google would approach them. The reason I've used it as a slide is because we're doing the same thing here. So we are taking philosophies out of Google's when they first started in a garage, and actually applying them to search engine optimization, and actually reverse engineering how they think. So actually, if you follow some of the steps that I'll be taking you through today, you will actually see tangible results fairly quickly. So if you have any questions, please do feel free to kind of raise your hands right away, or after the event. We're having dinner later. You can grab me. I'm here tomorrow all day at the booth. Please sign up to our free SEO audit. Drop your card and you get a free audit from yours truly. So, okay, without further ado, connect with me, please use the hashtags, by the way, the Digimarcon hashtags, and keep promoting it, because it's a great, again, let's raise awareness to this amazing event. So 3 takeaways today that we will be taking you through. One is winning on Google is, to win on the Google search results page, you need to think like Google and optimize for what Google's KPIs are. If you understand what Google needs to do to remain the search engine that it is, the best, 98% of the search is here, and that's why this whole presentation is about Google today. So is basically understand how they think and give them what they want, and you'll succeed. So number 2, don't just think of optimizing your website, optimize for the user journey. We'll have some examples of this, and it's really critical to kind of think like that. And finally, we'll talk about just how you can tangibly look at your data and create some long-term goals and objectives, and not just short-term. With search engine optimization, you can get some people telling you there's quick wins, but really there's no such thing. And don't fall into the trap of going into any of the quick wins. They can hurt you more than help you. So the first kind of overarching concept that Google has, and this is something they created when they started, they still are, that's their guiding light, their mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So that's their job. That's what's made them the #1 engine. That's why they will continue to do that. If you want to think of it, think of it like a librarian. Most of you are much younger than I am in this room. So in the past, we had this thing called the library. You'd walk in, and there's an indexing system, and you'd pull out some cards and find the book you want, the information. There might be a person there to help you. Google has taken over that. So that's what they do today. And the challenge with what they're doing today versus that library in the past, where you had a human being interact with you, is that their algorithm needs to understand what's going on. What are you asking? So the first kind of major concept you need to think about when you're optimizing is that search intent. So you need to put yourself in your user's shoes and say, am I giving people different kind of information based on their search intent? And that's really important. As a quick example, in the travel industry, you could be searching for cheap tickets to Dubai, or you can find, and that's a transactional. If somebody's searching for that, they're more likely at the buying stage of their decision. Whereas if they're searching best destinations in Dubai for with good weather or whatever, that's more informational. And so you need to understand that concept before we get into this. So that's one. The second concept to understand, and I think most of you on here, you're mostly marketers, I'm assuming, and if not, it's still a logical concept, which is the funnel, I mean, this is a very simplified form of any funnel that a user would go through, or a customer or client of yours. There's awareness, evaluation, and purchase. And that needs to also be a concept that's in your head, and understand that people don't always just want to buy. And you need to understand that this funnel we will talk about later on when we start to talk about some of the content that you can produce across this funnel. Again, this whole presentation is about thinking like the user, and because if you do that, you will succeed at SEO. So I'll take you through the various philosophies that Google, again, 20 years ago or maybe more now, when they first launched, they came up with these philosophies, and we're utilizing them to kind of try to reverse engineer how they think and why they created those. So the first one is focus on the user and all else will follow. So that's kind of like a logical thing. That's one of their core beliefs, and they keep revising it. If you go to their website, it's under philosophy. They actually talk about how they created these when they started. They always go back to them to make sure that they are, still adhering with their initial thought process that made them the giant they are. So what does that mean? So to be able to be user-centric with search engine optimization and therefore be successful, you need to think about the user. The first thing you need to do when you run a business is take it to basics. You need to understand, besides the data and the content that you think is important for your business, you need to try to put some faces to the different people that might visit your website, your audience. And we call them buyer personas. And they could be different types of people depending on your business. They could be 2, 10, 15. But bottom line, you need to understand them. You need to kind of map them, put names to them, put ages, put ethnicity, religion, whatever it is. The more details you can have about the types of people who are visiting your website, the more successful you are. And if you literally put a face next to each one, then you can visualize them when you're thinking about them. So this idea of website owners kind of getting into the data too much is important, but it's also important to go back to basics and know that there are people that are coming to your websites with a life story and a history. So that's the first important thing to kind of start the steps towards becoming a successful SEO, in my opinion. So philosophy number 2, there's always more information out there. That's one of Google's second philosophy. It's one of the ones that they list on their website. And the idea there is that they understood a long time ago that there's so much information out there and it needs to be gathered and provided back to the users in the most useful way, again, according to their mission. They've relied on businesses throughout. They've relied on companies like the Wikipedia, which is now a giant in its own right, but other businesses, smaller businesses, local businesses, to try to make sense of all of the information out there. So you, as a business owner, need to understand that concept, and you need to understand that why should a user, the personas that you've mapped to your business, why should they go elsewhere to find information that they can find on your site? That's the first concept. A lot of people kind of focus on, or a lot of businesses focus on that final end of the funnel, the purchase, whereas there's other areas where people are not ready to buy, and those users are going elsewhere to find that information. So this is a bit too far. I thought it'll be bigger on the screen, but this is if you guys get the deck afterwards. I don't know if it's going to be distributed. These are steps, and actually there's links to tools and resources that you can use right away. So you've understood who the users are. You mapped names to them, and understood that now you need content for those users. Now, the first thing to do in search in SEO, and I think some SEOs are here today, some really ones that I respect actually, and I've known for a while in Dubai, is start to research. And Google provides a very cheap tool, a free tool, and there's a lot of other tools, paid and free, out there that you can use that utilize Google's data and so forth. The idea now is to start to research language around your users. And you can start with a seed list of keywords, mapping them to the different buyers that are coming to your website. And then Google would come back and provide you with more detail, with more options in terms of other alternatives to that keyword. And you can start to build up kind of a database of keywords and start to categorize it based on your users. Simple Excel sheet. Put those keywords in, and start to build up that language around your business or your customers. Map the language to your users, so to your pages. So the next thing is to look at your website and see, so I've discovered 1,000 keywords that people are searching for, and these are the types of people that this persona looks at. This one is another one. So one might be a single parent or a family of. And some might search for a certain thing, another for another. Map and start to see if there are any gaps. If you find gaps in your content, then right away that is the quick win to start to fill, to create pages that will fill that. So a good example of that is somebody searching to buy a house and they want a mortgage. They can search for a mortgage and actually get one from one of the banks they know, or maybe they're not ready and they want to understand more. And they're searching for a mortgage calculator, and you as a finance site don't have the mortgage calculator, you're missing out. Somebody else is taking that part of the fun, that part of the decision process somewhere else. And that's an example of a practical example of a map where you've looked at the site, I'm missing this, and I need to create something for it. So right away, you're being user-centric, and therefore right away becoming better at SEO. Identify gaps in your content, fill them, structure your content intuitively. Now, I don't want to complicate this. Structuring of information on a website is as simple as ensuring that without using a search engine on the site, the internal search, that people are able to find the information really quickly. It's as simple as that. The homepage has the categories. When you go to categories, subcategories, products, subproducts, and so forth. Make them navigation simple. Again, that goes with the same concept. Don't overcomplicate your navigation, but make sure it's easily, that any content is easily found on the site. And internal link. The internal linking, I think the best example I can give is Wikipedia. If you take a look at the Wikipedia, you'll see that on any page, they dig you deeper into more details. I'm not saying that the internal linking should be on all pages. They're probably better at the top of the funnel where there's more information about guides and blogs maybe. But in the purchase, you want to minimize the internal linking, obviously, because you want to close the deal. So I want to now kind of take, I hope I'm not talking too fast. And please just say this or just tell me kind of slow down. I'm assuming everybody's catching. I'm not seeing anybody nodding off yet, so that's a good thing. Map keywords, map the content to that funnel. So this funnel that we started with, and that's a simple one. Again, there's many more complicated versions of it. Start to think about what kind of content you can put across each of the stages to be able to become more user-friendly and to give your personas, the buyers that are coming to your site, more information to make the deal at the different stages of where they are with their purchase journey. This slide is taken from Crazy Egg. It's a great site founded by Neil Patel, co-founded. He has a partner. The link is there. You can go to Crazy Egg and look at that. It goes deeper into that topic of the different types of content that work across the different stages. And I really highly advise that. I mean, sometimes we overcomplicate it, but the bottom line, Google is looking for content. Again, they are looking for who is the best person out there, or website out there that can provide all of the information in one place and structure it based on funnels and user journeys as we were talking now. So examples would be awareness stage, subject kit, tip sheet, blog posts as a lot of people use blogs. In the evaluation stage, maybe it's a testimonial, it's a demo video, product sheet. So there's a lot of information out there. Purchase, free trial, estimate. So trying to close the deal. You can also offer content that finalizes the deal very quickly. So think about that. Use this resource. I'm going to give you an example from a client of ours, which is Souk Al-Mal, amazing site for comparing financial products. And we've done exactly what I've been saying to you right now. So today, if you search for financial products or compare credit cards, personal loans, and so forth, you get them on the top 5 positions because of. A lot of it is because of this process that I've just been taking you through. So a quick example, somebody who wants to get a credit card, We worked with them to create guides. So at the awareness stage, guides to kind of explain the various things that you, and the tips and ideas that you need to think about before you commit to a credit card. At the evaluation stage, it's a comparison engine, so comparing the different credit cards out there in the UAE. And at the final stage, the purchase stage, a very detailed product page of the product that they eventually ended up choosing. So in that sense, we've covered more of the funnel. Guys, if you do this, and I don't know, maybe I'm assuming that I didn't ask questions about who owns what and what businesses you're in, but if you're not doing this, please do this. Go back today, go back to your office and start doing this. You will start to see results fairly quickly. You've done all of this. You've identified the personas. You have faces and names to them. You've researched how they think, what they want in terms of information. You've looked at your site, maps, identified gaps, filled them, created some navigation to make everything clear. What do you do next? So user centricity, SEO really starts at the search engine results page. We call it SERP. And that's where it starts. You need to think about that. At a basic level, this is another client of ours, First Abu Dhabi Bank, and they're one of the best banks in the UAE, actually. Yes. So your title and meta description are the basics of all of your SEO. You need to understand that. And you need to understand that you can't just throw it out there. You really need to pay as much attention to it as any of your other marketing activities. This is, as much as you pay for ads on Google, and you create these titles and the title ad and the description, the copy, the ad copy, this is also the same thing. And you need to think of those snippets that show up in Google as that. They are your billboard. Imagine a billboard in the middle of the street. It's some of the busiest highways on Google search. So you need to ensure that you follow some tips that I'll take you through. I'll refer back to this to kind of give you some example of exactly how we do it. So you can, this one also, if you go back today and actually start to look at your websites and follow these 5 tips that I'm going to talk about now, again, very quick wins, and you will see results. So the first thing is you need to understand that there are length restrictions in the title and meta description. Maybe I'm saying things that some people know here, and apologies if I'm going back to basics, but I actually think that it's worth it to talk about these, because some of them maybe, maybe some people are using some and not the others, but length restrictions. So Google, for the title, there's character length, and it's around 65 to 67 characters. To be on the safe side, 65. So you need to think about that. The meta description was 156. I think it jumped to 300, and then Google decided, no, we want to go back to 156. And so, but I mean, on the safe side, stick to 156 characters. So you need to understand the restrictions and make sure that you don't overdo them, because then you get dotted out, and that's not a good user experience. Second one is use keywords in title and meta description. Use it once. This is the car loans, targeting car loans, once in the title, once in the meta description, because this is what Google will bold when you're searching. So that kind of gives it. Don't overdo it, because you need space for the other things I'm going to tell you about. But just make sure it's repeated once in each. Include the brand and location at the end of the title. So it's very important to, again, it's user centricity. I mean, maybe most of you here would not be doing what I'm trying to say, but I've seen a lot of businesses that would start with their brand, and then they would put the actual what people are searching for at the end. That's brand-centric. You need to be user-centric to succeed at SEO. So think about that. With all of your titles, except for the home page, where the brand can go in the beginning, should go in the beginning. The inner pages, categories, products, you should start with what those keywords that you've researched in that research stage, put them there, and then put the brand, so First Abu Dhabi Bank, and the location. The location is so key, because for many reasons, it's not just an SEO thing, it's actually usability. If somebody scans the results pages and sees a whole bunch of results, and yours is the one that says, I'm local, right away you're enticing that click and getting the sale. So, and Google will understand that you're local, will serve you more for local searches. So that's tip number 3. Number 4 is include the USP. Does anybody know what a USP is? unique selling proposition. I'm sure all of you do, but I was sitting in the audience, and it's difficult to kind of jump in and be that person. So unique selling proposition is basically, it's what differentiates you from your competitors. You are in business to sell things and to make money, and you need to understand what that differentiation is, and you need to mention it in the description. You need to have space for it, because you're trying to entice people to choose you over other results. You need to be user-centric. You need to tell the user, you're looking for this, I have the best one, here's why. In this case, competitive interest rates, amounts of up to 1.5 million, 80% of the car value. By the way, if anybody's in the market for a car, they have a great deal, and this is a recent deal, so great bank again. I just plugged it in twice. I need to be careful. Apologies. So number 3, so I hope that's clear, the USP, really important. Again, think about all your page, all your products, your services, and go in and scrutinize every single title and description as those easy tips that I'm mentioning. Your USP. So the final one is a call to action. Again, so CTA, call to action, I'm sure you guys know what it is. You need to, once you've kind of told the people, I have this product, it's a local product, I'm a great brand, this is the reason you need to buy from me, I'm amazing, I have a great deal. Finally, you need to close the deal. You're a marketer, you're a salesperson, and if you don't close the deal on the Google search results, you're kind of wasting an opportunity. You need to tell your potential customers what to do when they click. You need to guide them. So in this case, apply today. Now, you can't use that and not have that be on the page, obviously. You need to match this with the call to action on your page. So in my opinion, this is a great kind of combination of things to do for your metadata to become better. Again, go and start with this today, and you will see a major difference. Going a bit more detailed, Google has gone beyond the metadata, the basics. I don't expect you, if you're not technical, to kind of start with that, but it's important to understand that there is another layer of beyond the basic HTML that not just Google, all search engines have agreed that this is like a protocol that we should all use, and it's called the schema.org. Every industry has its own kind of different tagging you can use to make your listings on Google better. In this case, this is a restaurant review. They have reviews, and Google and the other search engines have said, if you have reviews, tell us via the schema.org markup, and we will show those reviews on your site. So, and this is, I think, one example. There's so many in different industries, including ours. So this is another client of ours, Dubai, Visit Dubai. I don't know if you guys know them, amazing site. They have a site, the part of the website is a calendar, and we've worked with them on schema tagging to ensure when somebody searches for Phantom of the Opera is playing now, I think till November, great show by the way. If somebody's searching for dates for Phantom of the Opera, we worked with schema tagging to have Google, this is really far by the way, apologies for that, but basically it's putting the dates and it's putting a link directly to where you can buy the tickets. But this is one example of schema. I mean, if you're searching for prices, you probably get prices, different things that you might be searching for to purchase from them. That schema tagging provides you something beyond the basic metadata. There's a tool that Google uses, and it's the structured markup tool. I've put a link to it. You can use it right away. Check your website out and see, if you are using any structured markup. It'll tell you if you have errors. If you're not, it'll tell you don't. Check out your competitors. I think it's very important to always look at your competitors for inspiration and see what they're doing. So. Philosophy number three, they'll go faster, by the way. But I'm trying to focus on these because these are really kind of important. It's best to do one thing really, really well. That's another thing of Google's kind of core philosophies, and they expect that from other businesses that they want to kind of return back to their users. I think I'm going to explain, a concept of what that means. So Google recently, you've been seeing that when you search for certain things, you have this featured snippet, and that is really based around that authoritative factor. And what does it kind of take to get there? There's different things, but at a minimum level, you need to start to think about what people are asking in terms of questions and responding to those questions on your website. So basically, if you search, sometimes people are also asked, Google lists to you, gives you all of the questions that people are asking. Look through them in your niche and make sure that you have an answer for them on your website and on your Google My Business page, which I'll discuss in a second. So create a questions and answer section, write content similar to what Google is showing in terms of questions and respond to them. Use responses in terms of a checklist or expanded paragraphs, but also use markup. The structured schema markup is important to kind of tell Google that this is a Q&A section and this is a question, this is an answer. So it's a combination. But at a basic level, go back today, think about, am I giving my users all of the questions that they need to be informed, to make the final decision to purchase from me? So example, again, this is another client of ours, Miras, and we work with them across their websites on Google My Business, on SEO and Google My Business. I don't know if anybody has. If you have a business, you should right away make sure that you own your Google My Business page. Sometimes somebody's created it and you can claim it, but it's really important because Google is now looking there for people ask questions there. If you have a business and if nobody's responding to those questions, again, that's not very user-centric, bad for SEO. But you need to respond, negative or positive. And if people are asking questions, you need to respond. And that really helps you with becoming more authoritative in your field. That you are, Box Park in this instance is the ultimate authority on going to Box Park, which is a great location, by the way, in the UAE. YMYL, I'm going to discuss this very quickly. So Google has, besides the basic algorithm that Google has to go around websites, decide how good the content is and how authoritative it is, they now have around 10,000 actual people for certain topics around your money, your life, YMYL, that actually experts are looking at. So make sure that your content, don't just write it yourself. If you're not an expert at what you do, get the experts to write it for you, because that can potentially, at a worst case scenario, you can get sued, God forbid. But at a worst case scenario, at a normal scenario, you might actually get devalued in Google, and because there are manual people looking at that content again. And if you're touching accounting, medical, anything that have to do with medical, anything with life, basically, around your life, you need to be wary of that. And now I'm going to start to move faster, so hopefully I'll get less kind of tedious. But please, the stuff I've said so far is really important. I mean, and they're very simple tips. I can't stress enough, because sometimes SEO is left, and I don't want to sell myself out of a job. But a lot of business owners, we stopped taking on smaller businesses because our board and the owners of our company decided they want to stick with the kind of the larger businesses. So my passion is, when I first got here, was, and Najib knows that probably. Good to see you, Najib. Great SEO, by the way, in the back of the room. Our first kind of idea was to work with a lot of startups, and we did. But then, in terms of fees and what we expect, we couldn't work with them anymore. But putting that aside, what I was trying to say is that a lot of startups, I think they overthink what search engine optimization is. They overcomplicate it. Again, these simple tips of mapping and understanding and content and basic optimization tips will get you a long way. Faster is better. So philosophy number 4, faster is better. Google has always gone by this philosophy, and it's as simple as just pay attention to your web speed. It's a ranking factor. So and don't look at it from your desktop experience. Look at it from mobile. So Google recently moved into judging where you should rank, not based on your desktop, but on your mobile experience. In terms of, they understand that on mobile, people, if a web page doesn't load fast enough, people will leave, and they don't want to serve back to their users. So again, it's a usability factor and a direct SEO factor. So pay attention to that. This is an example, not a client. So Ferrari is known as a very fast car. Online, it scores 16 out of 100 on the mobile experience. So that's not according to Google, this would be a bad experience and might not get them ranked for fastest car on Earth or something like that. Desktop is the score there. They score better at desktop, but unfortunately for them, Google has moved to judging your performance, ranking both on desktop and mobile based on your mobile score. So 16 out of 100, they need a lot of improvement. There's a tool that Google provides that gives you exactly what you need to do to fix some of the things to get your speed. And it's not just speed, it's an experience. The score is an experience. It has a lot of speed elements, but it also tells you, make sure that your scroll is better, the size of the buttons. There's a lot of different things that they give you on their tips that allow you to improve your speed. So another one, go back, work on this. Plug in and compare with your competitors. See how do you score and fix that, because that's a quick win. Usable, again, it's user-friendly, therefore SEO-friendly. Number 5, the need of information crosses border. There's another one of our colleagues in the SEO field that's speaking tomorrow about this in more details. I think it's about international SEO. Apologies, I don't know if she's here today, and I forgot her name, so apologies for that, because I haven't met her yet. But she'll talk more about that, so watch out for her presentation tomorrow. It should be a good one. But at a basic level, I don't want to kind of step into her limelight, but the idea that Google said, one of their philosophies, they understood that information crosses border. You need to understand that too. You need to understand that from that stage of the buyer personas that you've mapped. Maybe one of them is a French person living in France and another French person living in Canada. These are two different people, but both speak French. And Google has allowed various kind of tools, provided tools to allow you to tell them more about your content, so and especially international content. So at a basic level, add location to your content. So we talked about adding it in your title, add it in the footer. Make sure that, if you're a local brand, tell Google that, because that just differentiates you right away, gives you an advantage. Utilize hreflangs. That's a bit technical, but it's basically some piece of code that goes in the top of your page that's not visible, that tells Google that this page is, again, French for French speakers and French for Canadian French speakers, if that makes sense. There's other examples, but at a basic level, English, Arabic, you can hreflang to say that this Arabic page has English equivalent here, French here. You can start to kind of, tell Google what to serve in which country. This is critical for one of our clients. I'm not going to name them now because they came to us and somebody was searching in Egypt for their brand and they were getting the UAE product. So the management was coming back and saying, this is, we need to fix this. The solution was hreflang. So again, it's not a good user experience. It's not just uncertain, because that client's in the financial field, and at some stage that can kind of touch upon really bad reputation challenges. So hreflangs, Google provided you. Again, the person who will be speaking tomorrow will be talking about this specifically and maybe expanding more into it. Secure backlinks. We'll talk very quickly about backlinks and that popularity vote from local. So if you are targeting local, international languages, make sure that, or countries, make sure you're getting links from these local markets, and claim and optimize your Google My Listing business, because that will allow you right away to manage multiple locations if you have it. If you're a bank and have multiple kind of branches across the globe and you have ATMs, this is a quick way to kind of tell Google to manage all of your map listings, answer questions. So this is becoming even more powerful. If anything today, go and check your Google My Business and make sure you have one and you claim it. Finally, you don't have to, not finally, you don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. Philosophy number 6. They've always understood that people are not just on their desk. So even before, they understood that the web is going to move very fast into mobile. And I mean, we all know how fast it's moved. SEO and that search engine optimization has moved as fast to kind of start to address the fact that people are not behind their desk anymore. What does that mean? So in the UAE, 61% of users use the smartphone to access the internet. That's a big number, and it's moving. I mean, at one point, it'll probably be 99%. Because the mobile experience is becoming better, sites are giving better kind of usability. There's mobile search, artificial intelligence and voice search. There's a lot of things coming online that will just make mobile experience much easier and much more accessible. Quick tips, I'm not going to go through them. These are all logical. Keep your mobile site simple, keep it consistent, easily navigable. Provide easy scroll experience, legible site. By the way, all of these tips is what Google will give you when you put your URL, your web page, into that tool I told you about with the Ferrari. It'll tell you about all of these, and it'll tell you where to go and what to fix. So Talk in sound bites and use images. So online people are on the move. They don't have time. They're not behind a desk. They want information fast. You have to, again, think about the buyer personas that we talked about and think of them, see them, visualize them on the street, walking, answer, looking and just respond to them, give them the experience that will help them with that. Google's moved to AI and conversational search. You need to understand that as an SEO. Again, it goes back to usability. Google understands the users are moving this way. They expect you as web owners or property owners to be in line. And if you're not, you will fall behind. Even if you've been amazing at desktop SEO, if you're not addressing some of the future trends of Google, you will fall behind. And right away, it's happening with people who have bad mobile experience as a simple matter, and they don't understand why they're not behind their competitors. I mean, Manar, one of my colleagues, is here today, and she understands. With one of our clients, that was exactly the problem, and we spotted it very quickly. Just the score between them and that wasn't always the case. The score, something happened in the development process. They launched an update, and it just slowed down the mobile down to 5, versus the competitor was at 80. So at mobile, I mean, and we saw the drops in Google Search Console. You see huge drops of impressions and clicks. And we are experienced enough to right away know that there's a checklist you go. But one of them is mobile. Don't underestimate the importance of that speed and that experience. And Google provides you that tool. So optimizing tips for voice search. Again, I'm going to move fairly quickly. It's all logical. It goes back to the business. So make sure you have a business listing, again, because Google's tapping into that to respond to questions, especially if you're a local business and you're the local expert and you're answering questions within Google My Business, then Google is going to use your information more and more, besides the information or your content on your page. Use natural language. Don't overcomplicate it. The research will show you what language your users are using. Again, brand-centric versus user-centric. Don't think about your products and how you call them internally. Think about how your users refer to them, and that research should tell you what that is. Add new ongoing content on the site, FAQs. I can't underestimate the importance of a very quick win, questions and answers. I think every site that's selling anything, technical or something that requires a lot of responses to answers should have one. Write more local content, target long-tail keywords. People online are not typing, they're on the move, they're asking longer questions. There are tools out there. If you search for Google search tools, keyword research tools, there are ones that will give you different options, even how to search on Amazon and YouTube, so different experiences, and will give you feedback of what people are searching for on different places. Long-term is the option between saying, I want to buy sandals or blue waterproof sandals that are also edible, for instance. Very bad example, but some people are searching longer phrases, and you need to write around those and to kind of even be seen more as an authority because you have all of that content that we talked about. Mark up your content with the Google. Am I getting flagged with? No, I need to look there for the timing. Yeah. So mark up your content. We go back to that schema markup. Don't go straight into it if you're new to SEO, but at one point, think about that. Talk to your developers, say, what is the schema.org? Let's check it out under our industry. What can we do with it? And you can do quite a bit right away with various things that are quick wins, hopefully. Final thought, and then I'll let you guys go because there's some refreshments waiting afterwards. Democracy on the web works. Google has always understood this concept. The reason they blasted everybody out of sight in terms of being a better search engine, a lot of you maybe don't know. Again, I'm looking across, and there's a lot of young people out here. You don't remember life before Google, and I do, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Websites were abusing it. I was in SEO back then, and I remember back then we would go and count how many repetitions of a word there is, and we would repeat it. And that, even Google, at one point the beginnings of Google was also similar to that. But they understood this concept that goes beyond that keywords and language, is that popularity, democracy on the web works. And it's the idea that other websites that link to you are a true indication of your authority and popularity. And that's what we should focus on. Again, they think users will trust other people about a certain piece of content than the owner of that content does. And it's a smart move. And they've gone with it. I'm going to give a quick example of a brilliant authority in our industry, SEO Moz. Now they're moz.com. When you search for what is SEO, they show up on page 1. It's not just because of all of the content and the mapping that they've done and everything I've talked about in this presentation. It's about largely this also. And it's the idea that if you search, there's a tool. This is Ahrefs. I'm not plugging in any tools. I know SEMrush are here. And we haven't worked with them yet, but I'm going to talk to them later, maybe tomorrow, if you guys are here. If you're not here, you've lost out. So, yes, okay, tomorrow. So there's various tools out there. Great company, by the way, SEMrush. I mean, my colleagues have worked with it a lot. And this one is Ahrefs. Ahrefs? I don't know how you'd say them. So anyway, basically, there's over close to 1,300 linked people, websites, authority, other SEO websites linking to them saying, this is the best place to find what SEO is. And so that's as simple as it is. I've taken this from moz.com, the screenshot, and I think we've referenced it there. Basically, Google is looking at also that language you use in the text. And again, maybe I'm saying things that's very basic to a lot of you, but I have to say it that, you know, if there's a page about hedgehogs, if enough people say in the link, put hedgehogs in it. It's not that simple, by the way. You can get penalized if you get too many of these. But at a basic level, Google understands that's the page about hedgehogs. Other people are seeing that it's about it. Therefore, I need to give the same thing. So that's Google's trust in that popularity and authority to kind of give the right pages back to users. Final thoughts is going to that third out of the 3 takeaways, which is make sure that your KPIs and your goals and objectives for SEO are long-term. Don't ever fall into the trap of thinking there are quick wins. There are quick wins. If your site is really, really kind of bare at a lot of the content stuff and the keywords and the optimization that I've talked about throughout this presentation, then you will actually move fairly quickly up the ladder. But if you're fairly okay with all of that, you need to think that it's ongoing content because you're not operating in a vacuum. There's competitors out there doing the same thing. And if actually they might be doing stuff and you haven't started yet, which is the worst case scenario. So the final thought is some ideas to kind of make sure that you kind of think long-term and build long-term KPIs. First of all, at a basic level, think about bounce rate. Look at bounce rates, user sessions, time sessions on your site. These are, vanity metrics. There's a lot more you can do. Tawfiq here and Sam from our analytics team do a lot of micro and macro conversion tagging to understand what. So we talked about all of this content. The issue for you as a business owner is to try to understand why am I investing in all of this content? And if you don't have the data to show you that this piece of content actually contributed to the final sale, which is micro, maybe somebody watched a video, macro, somebody purchased. And there's a lot of micro stuff from all of the content that I put in that crazy egg slide. There's so many different types of content that can aid the sale. Again, you need to be user-centric. And that user-centricity needs to be measured in order for you to understand and believe that without this content, I'm not succeeding. A/B split test. Make sure you don't just rely on a page that, if you see bounces and you think everything's great, try different colors, buttons, move them up. There's so many things, build this into your culture of testing pages and making sure that things are working and you've optimized. Experiment with calls to action. If somebody's not ready to buy, maybe you're asking them to buy too early in the stage, maybe say sign up to our newsletter. So look at your content, and usually you can find different calls to action that will allow you to capture more information that will eventually allow you to have a conversation long-term with the user rather than just selling to them right away. So somebody may be downloading a white paper if you're a very technical thing. So say download our white paper, capture emails and addresses and talk to them long-term. And finally, add a very simple one. Adding a feedback form on your page and asking people, has my experience been good or not good? That's the best user-centric experience you can have. It will help you with SEO tremendously. Ask questions like, what kind of content do you need that you've been looking for, you haven't found? So that's about it. So I hope that you found it useful. Maybe I've spoken too fast. I know I'm a bit loud, especially with this, but thank you for attentiveness. Really, a great bunch of crowd. And I need to thank the organizers again. Great great show, and hopefully I'll meet you guys later after this thing. I think we're heading to the refreshments. So thank you, everybody. Questions? Hopefully, I was such an authority, and I've answered all of your questions. But joking aside, if there's any questions, please do ask. Yes, Najib.
Hey, Omar. Thank you very much. It's been a very pleasure, to see you again on stage. I've been following you and your thought for the last 6 years now in Dubai. So thanks again for sharing that.
Thank you.
Actually, I want to go beyond your presentation, and I really want to learn from you. I know you've done a fantastic job in this region. What do you think will drive basically the SEO in this region in the near future?
That's a very good question. I think it is. I think it's still sticking to basics. I know there's a lot of talk about. It's just taking the basics, the foundations of search engine optimization, and understand that they've just moved to different channels. So the whole concept. First of all, content underlies SEO, as you know, and I think a lot of people know. The content and how you structure it and everything we talked about today is what defines you as how strong you are in search engine optimization. But I think it's just taking that and redeveloping it. So again, content on a desktop would be different than content on a mobile experience. Or somebody using voice search versus typing, it's a different concept. The good news is that search engines are giving us all along, if you follow Google and if you follow all of the authorities online that talk about the future, they all basically are telling you what Google is doing and what tools they're giving you to become to keep up with them. It's to Google's advantage that it doesn't become a black box. They want, again, their whole mission is to organize the world's information. Without us in the room who own websites and businesses, they're not going to go anywhere with that mission. They're relying on us. So again, I think it's just understanding the basics and then applying them. With artificial intelligence, Google is getting smarter at understanding even, for instance, heading tags on a page. A while back, if you repeated more than one heading tag, that's not good SEO. Today, actually, Google came out and said, if you have 10 heading tags, we don't care. We'll understand what you... I mean, in a way, that's not very good for search engine optimizers, but I'm being very honest with your question, and I think it's moving towards Google just becoming really, really smart. But being smart is also knowing that your content, when you're writing a piece of copy, it's not that some SEO person wrote it and just repeated the word multiple times. It's being smart that they understand like humans. They're understanding intent. They're understanding from their analytics and all of the tools they've purchased throughout the years. They've put things together to understand what the user is, maybe what nationality, what gender, and they do that. In analytics, you see gender, nationality, all of the different, they have a lot of data, and they're using that to just become smarter. You just need to stick to basics. I think I've covered the basics here, not from an SEO perspective, but from a marketer's perspective. You need to think like a marketer. SEO is not a technical discipline. It is a marketing discipline. It's always been. There are technical things you can do within it, but the basic foundation is content. Sorry, I'm over talking it. I hope I answered your question though. Or do you have, by the way, maybe I'd like to ask you actually to return the question to you, because I'm sure you have your own experience also.
No, I mean, I agree with you, and I think that unfortunately we kind of assume things are done well, but after working with and you have mentioned few clients working with more than 15 websites, including Jumeirah, Emar, Adib, we have seen that the basics are not done. I've audited about the 10 top banks in this region. Only 3 of them had a mobile-friendly website. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you. Going back to the basics, actually, and I'm going to do a small teaser for the talk that we do tomorrow.
Yes.
The good thing is now we have as well tools to validate what basically Google will consider as a value content. So now we have the capabilities by using the same technology as Google to validate our work. So this is a small teaser for tomorrow.
Amazing.
But thanks
Please,
a lot.
if you're around tomorrow, watch it. His again. Najib, I've followed him. He knows his stuff. He's won awards, by the way. I think you won the Search Personality of the Year.
Yeah, it's been
here.
2 years already, so it's
Congratulations.
old.
2 years
And you have mentioned as well Miranda, who's going to talk at like 10 if I'm not mistaken, and she's going to talk about international
SEO.
And
So it's Renda,
super
right?
important in this region.
So yeah,
exactly.
that's another SEO one that you should all watch. So
Thanks a lot.
thank you, Najib. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, Omar. Good
Hi.
evening. In your presentation, you have mentioned that we should use the USP and the location for the tagging,
Yeah.
the SEO meta tags and title tags and all.
Yeah.
So how do you suggest we should use keyword planner? Like how much importance we should give to the keywords?
That's a good question. So the keywords at a basic level should always in the title. I mean, there's always been like an accepted rule that in the title it should be mentioned at the beginning of the title. Sorry, you're.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So are you talking about implementing them in the? If it's an important keyword, I would repeat it once in the title, one in the meta description. But in the meta description, Google, by the way, the meta description is not a ranking factor. Google doesn't look at, you can stuff the meta description with all of the keywords you want. The title is where it's important. It needs to be at the beginning, and it should be, I think, exact. But don't over spam it. I mean, if it's car loans, in the UAE, say car loans. Don't say loans UAE or something like that, as per what people are searching. Make it user-friendly, because it's a marketing message. And the meta description, I would also, I mean, there's some, with content writing, get writers to write your content, even with the meta description, experts, because some people, Google is smart enough to understand that there are synonyms. They understand that a dog and a man's best friend is the same thing. They both refer to a dog. And that, actually, that's the simplest form. There's so much. They've gone into like a lot of data to even understand emotions of what people are searching for and linking it to your content. So I would just really highlight that you need to get experts to write the meta description. I mean, you get a copywriter to write the meta description. I don't think it should be just left because it's a marketing message. You need to sell in that very limited space of maybe 3-4 seconds to capture somebody scrolling and clicking on your listing. So it's like the toughest job in copywriting, I think, one of the toughest. I hope I answered your question, but I don't know if...
Yes, you did. But I meant the title have only 62 characters.
60,
and
yeah,
if
65.
I'm putting the USP also and then location, if I'm giving importance to that, then maybe I'm lagging behind in the competition of the keywords.
Yeah.
Maybe the relevant keyword, maybe I won't top the search results.
Okay, so...
So how should we give importance to the keywords, to the USP, or the location?
I think so. The five things I discussed are all important. Somehow you have to make them all fit. So with the title, the keyword should definitely be on there. Google is looking at that. They want to understand from that title that this page is about this. It should be at the beginning. The description, you need to be more creative and just make sure that fits the USP and the CTA, the call to action. So your unique selling proposition, the call to action, and in the beginning talking about the keyword, saying that repeating the keyword once, then the USP, call to action. All of that needs to fit in the 156 characters. Again, the description is not an SEO factor. That's a clicking factor. That is actually you're selling to the user. The SEO is the title. So the keyword, if you don't have the keyword in the title, you've lost out right away. Google will not even consider you as that because they understand that the user is looking for that. So if you don't have that, why should they serve it back to their users? They will become known as people will go to Bing to start to search if they start to get it wrong more and more often. So the title is crucial. And that's why it's important at the beginning. But the description then becomes a marketing message. Even if you don't repeat the keyword in the meta description, if you feel that the marketing message doesn't fit with everything, I would actually highlight, because the keyword there's no weight for it in the meta description for Google. It is in the title. And again, in the past you could spam, but today Google is actually getting smarter with AI, where you just need to have the marketing message. Google denies this, but I think Google looks at people clicking on a listing, going onto a page and clicking back. It's a pogo effect. And I think Rand Fishkin from SEO Most talks about that. If you search pogo effect, it's the idea that they understand that people, if they bounce right back, that's a bad result. Even if you're number one, you'll drop to number two. That's why that description is so important. that call to action, that saying, telling them, stay on our page and do this, sign up to a newsletter if it's in a different awareness stage, if that makes sense. So don't think too much like an SEO with that description, think like a marketer and say, I'm going to be, and then utilize schema tagging to make your listing, if it's in a field that's reviews, to show it better, to show it, to give it more advantage. So I hope that's,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you for your question. Any others? Thank you guys, really I appreciate the end of the day and bearing with me, and I hope it was useful. And please do connect, let's connect offline, LinkedIn and all of that, and really share beyond this presentation. Thanks again to the presenters, so thanks.